Well, Senator Brian Crain is a Tulsa-based lawmaker and the author of proposed legislation that could inject more money into STEM education. And he joins me now in studio. Senator, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, this is a pretty big undertaking. And to start off, talk to me about these bond issues and why you feel they're important.
We have two proposals that we're going to put before the legislature. Each are for $2.5 billion for trust funds. The first trust fund would go for common education. It would be for two purposes. One would be to supplement teacher salaries to whatever extent the legislature is able or not able to fully fund that. And then secondly, we are trying to get additional monies for teachers who are in the STEM area, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So that will be some way to supplement and encourage individuals not only to teach in Oklahoma, but to teach those subjects where we are sorely in need. The other one is for a higher ed bond issue. 40% of the money would go to the University of Oklahoma, 40% would go to Oklahoma State University, and the other 20% would go to the regional colleges and universities here in Oklahoma. The money would be used for three purposes. One would be to recruit and retain faculty and staff, including to help on the Endowed Chairs program, in order to attract the faculty that we want to bring to Oklahoma in the STEM areas. The second would be for tuition assistance for students that are going to one of those universities in a STEM subject, a discipline, as long as they agree to stay in Oklahoma for 5 years after graduation. The third point, money would possibly go towards research foundations that are working with the universities in order to assist them in any type of research programs that they're doing that would help not only that university, but the state of Oklahoma.
Well, talk to me about kind of the logistics behind this. How long will these bonds last, and how long will it take to pay them back?
The money from the bonds would be perennial. They would last as long as the state of Oklahoma would. What we would do is form a trust, and that money would go into the trust, and all the money would be spent off of the interest that was accrued over the past year. The bond issues would be 30-year bond issues. We are seeking a vote of the people to let the people decide whether or not this is something that they are interested in. They would go for 30 years, and they would be paid for out of our general revenue. One of the challenges that I've had these past 10 years is trying to figure out how we go about funding education more fully, and at the same time honoring the commitments that we have in other areas. Medicaid, which is for low-income children, how do we take care of our mental health requirements, public safety, corrections. We've got a number of requirements, and we have a very restricted budget. I've reached the point where, out of frustration, we need to be thinking outside the box. We need to be thinking, what is it that we can present to the people of Oklahoma and let them decide it is imperative that we fund education, or to say, no, we do not want to fund education to the point that we are going to sacrifice these other issues. Either way, a vote by the people would allow the legislature to know, how can we be good stewards of your money? There are no frivolous, unneeded areas where most of our money goes to. And what we need to do is, if we're going to honor the commitment to the people to put education first, we need to figure out just how far they want us to go in meeting that commitment.
Mm-hmm. You know, we've seen in today's show that STEM education helps create high-paying jobs. They help build and grow Oklahoma's economy, and they also help create those jobs for the future workforce where the jobs haven't even been created yet. In your opinion, how do you ensure with these bond issues that we're covering all of our bases for everything, not just for those with PhDs, but also for our people like our technicians and our workers?
Well, what we're talking about is a technician and a worker will certainly start out going through high school, our common education. What we will do is we will provide greater funding for teachers as a supplement to the general appropriation. And then we will also have an additional amount of money to recruit and retain teachers in the STEM subjects in the high school area. There will be some workers that decide that they are not going to go to college, that they're going to enter the workforce. The hope would be, and as well as the expectation, that if you've taken STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, that you are better trained, better prepared to enter into an education or an occupation that utilizes those disciplines. The other group that would be graduated from high school are those that are going to be going to college. What would we do? We'd have probably the best trained faculty and staff that could possibly be attracted to Oklahoma. And also we would be providing tuition assistance for them, so that if they're having to wonder whether or not they can go to a college or if they need to go somewhere out of state, we can say, look, you're interested in a STEM program, come to whatever university you're looking at, and we will assist you. But the commitment and the return that we're asking is that you stay in Oklahoma for 5 years after you graduate, so that we get the benefit of your training, your knowledge, and your expertise.
All right, well, Senator Crain, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much for having me.